Just because you have a stick doesn't mean you're magic. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we are revisiting the world of Marvel's magic users, specifically on the wizard side. Most, but not all, wizards in Marvel are male identifying, and while there are many heroes with a mystical background who appear to have a staff, or a stick if you will, if you want to simplify it, not all of them can be considered as part of the wizard group, or even magic users specifically. Today we'll be taking a look at even more of these heroes and villains as we count down the top 10 most powerful wizards in Marvel, Part 2. Now, let's get casting and get counting. Number 10. Forge. While Forge is thought of as a mutant first, he also has magical abilities. We don't see him use them as much as his technological powers and intellect, but he is known as a man of both mysticism and science. Forge is a shaman and has mystical abilities and powers which allow him to cast spells, transport himself and others to alternate dimensions, and he can even manipulate and use the souls of others. He is also able to access his spirit or astral form and leave his body to walk among the astral plane. At one point in the comics, Forge's all-around powers were even acknowledged as being beyond comprehension when it came to what he was capable of. And he was even referred to in a way that hinted he could be on the level of a Sorcerer Supreme. Ooh, with his base being described as his Sanctum Sanctorum. Unless that's just like a thing we do for magic users, like everyone has a Sanctum Sanctorum. But I've only ever heard it used for Sorcerer Supreme, so I'm gonna assume that that's like a thing. Number 9. Captain Britain. What is it with magic users and being doctors? Although Captain Britain isn't thought of as a direct wizard, it should be noted that he is very magical, with his powers being heavily tied to Otherworld and the world of mysticism. While Brian Braddock isn't a medical doctor, he does have his PhD in physics, which he received from Thames University, giving him the title of doctor. Captain Britain's powers themselves came directly from another powerful magic user of Otherworld, Merlin, and his daughter Roma. They offered him a choice between the Amulet of Right and the Sword of Might. Although you might think of Brian as a powerful warrior, he actually sees himself as more of a scholar, which is why he reached for the Amulet of Right, transforming him into the superhero Captain Britain. While he doesn't cast spells, his powers are magical in origin and grant him the ability to travel to alternate dimensions such as Otherworld. And before we move on to our next spot, just a quick reminder to give this list a thumbs up. It really does help us out here at the channel, and if you're not subscribed yet, why not do that too? Number 8. Dr. Druid. Dr. Druid was actually a student of the Ancient Ones and was known as being a pretty accomplished one at that before Stephen Strange came along. Dr. Druid himself is also a medical professional like Strange and would become a hero who would eventually serve on the Avengers, although he'd later become a villain and eventually end up disgraced because of his villainous actions. Yikes. He initially was a psychiatrist, earning his MD and getting a degree in psychology from Harvard University. Initially fascinated by Druidic magic, Dr. Druid is knowledgeable in both Celtic rituals as well as various kinds of mysticism. Number 7. Magic. While Magic is female, she could still be considered a wizard or sorcerer, if you will, if a possible future came to pass. One that many anticipate will be Magic's eventual true future. In fact, there have been a few alternate futures where Magic becomes Sorcerer Supreme, one of the most celebrated being the alternate reality of Earth 18133, where Magic becomes Stephen Strange's apprentice after escaping Velasco. You can read this version of events in What If Magic from 2018, but there have also been other glimpses into this potential future as recently as last year with the story Doctor Strange: The End. Also, fun fact, men can sometimes be witches, like DC's Clarion the Witch Boy, and women can also sometimes be wizards, like Magic in this case. Number 6. Shaman. Shaman is Dr. Michael II Youngman, an indigenous man who is descended from a long line of Sarsi mystics. Initially, Michael was a surgeon, but after he was unable to save his sick wife and she died, he ended up finally embracing his spiritual side. He learned from the spirit of his grandfather and became a powerful sorcerer capable of many different feats, and would eventually join up with Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight. Shaman can use his abilities to heal, create illusions, control plants, time travel, fly, and communicate with spirits and animals, in addition to linking to other humans' minds. Not only is he gifted with magic, but he also is believed to be one of the most gifted and talented surgeons in all of Canada, so his medical skills can also be quite useful in deadly situations. Number 5. Dormammu. Dormammu isn't so much a person as he is a magical entity made up of energy, but still, he's more like a person in the comics than his MCU version made him out to be. He's not just like a disembodied head, usually. And at the very least, he's personal person shaped. Regardless of the fact that he's not human, Dormammu is still considered a powerful magic user, and I think he identifies as male. That's how Dormammu is usually referred to anyways. He, him. Dormammu has been around for possibly millennia, and as such is one of the most gifted, talented, and powerful magic users around. His powers are epic and great, but his weakness is that he relies on energy from his dimension to ensure that he remains strong. So being outside of the dark dimension or having it shut off from him greatly affects the level of his power. Especially if, he's outside of the dark dimension. In the dark dimension though, yikes, not someone you'd want to fight. Number 4. Egamoto. Egamoto is the wizard who created such powerful magical artifacts as the Orb of Egamoto, the Book of Vishanti, and the Eye of Egamoto, some of which you may recognize. Thanks to the Doctor Strange film, in fact, I believe almost everyone would recognize the Eye of Egamoto, and hence the name of this sorcerer anywhere. Egamoto was the Sorcerer Supreme way back, and even worked alongside as part of the team of Avengers in the Stone Age. Initially, Egamoto was an accomplished hero in history, but he would later return as a determined villain after believing both Doctor Strange and later Dr. Voodoo were both insults to the title. He returned to the Earth as a powerful spirit and attempted to invade it with demons. True story. Also not a great look for someone who used to be a hero. Number 3. Sissaneg. Sissaneg is a character who has only appeared in a few comic issues, and who first debuted in Marvel Premiere issue 13 in 1974. Also, I worked really hard to think about how to say his name, so I hope I got it right. His name is actually Genesis backwards, which was how I thought of how to say it. He has been known by a few other names throughout time, such as Genesis and Cagliostro, but he was originally a sorcerer from the 31st century who perfected his own mode and way of traveling through time without causing paradoxes that would erase his existence. Pretty impressive and useful. His plan was to travel back through history and become a more powerful wizard, as in his time period it was known that magic was finite, and while man in the future possessed it, no one person possessed an exorbitant amount of magical power. Hence, Sissaneg would travel backwards in time, absorbing the magic of others to add to his own power. Mwahaha. Number 2. Adam Warlock. Well, you might think of Adam Warlock as being more of a cosmic hero. I know I do, and he is. He also manages to blend the worlds of space and magic together. His magical abilities were actually created by his own self and his own will. After being resurrected, he acquired a power referred to as quantum magic, which allows him to repurpose surrounding cosmic energy or metaphysical quantum energy to perform magical feats. Using quantum magic, Adam Warlock is able to perform spells which allow him to heal, summon magical lightning, create force fields, create powerful and realistic illusions, and even manipulate time. Pretty impressive, especially for a hero who is often dubbed more cosmic than magical in origins. His powers really do put the Warlock in his name, Adam Warlock. Number 1. Merlin. Merlin was once the Sorcerer Supreme, but is now known as one of the main beings of Otherworld, and in fact the version of him who resides there is believed to know of not only events across the multiverse, but also the alternate versions of himself that reside on alternate Earths across alternate timelines. His powers are as vast as the many different feats he has claimed to have accomplished. If anything, his power could be measured by those he taught, such as the immensely powerful Morgan Le Fay. The artifacts he carries around also carry considerable power and include the Book of Skelos and the Stones of Merlin. He also typically is seen with a cone-shaped hat and, of course, a staff. After all, what would a powerful wizard be without their trusty and true fancy stick? Gotta have a fancy stick. Who do you think are some of the most powerful wizards around? Is there anyone we have still missed following both part 1 and part 2 of this list? What is your favorite area of magic explored in the Marvel Universe? Let us know in the comments below. I personally love chaos magic. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Dark Alternate Versions of Winter Soldier. Ronald Marcano theorizes, I guess people love a dude with a cool robot arm. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I also feel like that's why I like Cyborg as well. Sunstar comments, I heart Amanda too. You're also on fire with the list today. Thank you so much. Hearts back to you. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. You stay nerdy, YouTube.